Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here with us. Today, Dr. Tay Pei-Ling and I would like to share with you our thoughts and ideas on presenting literature appreciation in the age of technology. The outline of our presentation today, we will begin as we have done with the introduction, and then we're going to talk about the value of literature today, its relevance in today's age of technology, determining the approach that is relevant, and then finally, using technology creatively for teaching literature. Let me begin with a quote. And this quote is from Maya Angelou. She's an American author and poet. Now, this is what she said. When I look back, I am so impressed again with the life-giving power of literature. If I were a young person today trying to gain a sense of myself in the world, I would do that again by reading, just as I did when I was young. Now, I like to highlight this life-giving power of literature. As teachers, do we ever think of literature as a life-giving power? Right? Now, this is another quote that I would like to share with you. It teaches us about life by exposing us to the lives of different people through their stories. And from these experiences, we learn important lessons and values. It teaches us language and the power of communication, a skill we cannot do without in the 21st century. We're always telling our students about the 4 C's, and one of it is communication. And we know that literature teaches us language. It's exposed us to reading, helps us inculcate the reading habit. And of course, here again, vocabulary enriches our vocabulary. And therefore, we fall in, it gives us the power of communication. Now, this quote I took it from Professor Tommy Koh from the National University of Singapore. Singapore is bringing back literature in a very big way, especially in the schools and in higher education, because they see the value of it, right? And today with globalization, people and multiculturalism, people need to know about the lives of different people, the values, the culture, right? And in that way, it helps us and teaches us empathy, which is something which is so very important in the 21st century. Now, and next is this. These are questions, that we put forward. What is the youth of today's perception of literature? Is it just a reading comprehension? Is that what we are projecting to them? If that is what it is, then it is very sad, because there's definitely more to literature. Are they convinced of the life-giving power of literature today? And here again, I'd like to, this is an article I read by Kia Jien Richard. Now, the title of his article is this: Using Literature as a Method to Help Mental Illness, Teach Empathy, and Break Stereotypes. That's the power. We are talking of literature, all right? But in so doing, we need to get away, especially when we teach literature in schools, we need to move away from the right answer. There is only one answer. In literature, we need for them to be able to express themselves, give their point of view. There is no right or wrong answer. And later on, Dr. Tay will show the bridge that, especially if literature is taught in the way of a life-giving power, is a very useful tool for higher education. Sorry, can I go back to the other slide? The last question in the slide is that, has literature nothing left to teach our students, the digital natives, who are living in a globalized and hyper-connected world? All right? The literature has a lot to contribute to them. But the one thing that we need to do is we need to connect literature to these digital natives. Right? Now, the next slide is a challenge. All right. This is our challenge as literature educators today, is to constantly think of ways to connect the subject to real life issues for their students, or risk being seen as teaching a subject or outdated tales. They are so, the kids of today, they are so IT savvy. They practically got their face in their phones and, and social media. So why not use social media, use technology in the teaching of literature? Now, Dr. Tay, Dr. Tay Pei-Ling now will talk about this paradigm shift, blending the classic and the 21st century, teaching and learning using technology.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Cynthia. Yeah, I'm going to talk about how are we going to blend the classic and the 21st century teaching and learning using technology. If you look at this picture, the first one, okay, those days, when I studied my literature, I remember still thick book, literature books, but now our children, they have this privilege to use the technology to express themselves, okay, to help them in their learning of literature, in appreciating literature as well. How? Okay, how are we going to do that? As mentioned this now by Dr. Cynthia, the power of literature. Okay, it's very good for critical thinking because they think out of the box. Not only that, they can also improve the language. It helps to improve language because they're exposed to a lot of vocabs. Okay, and literacy appreciation is reading, understanding, and making a critical judgment of the theme, look at the theme, the style, the use of figurative and non figurative language, as well as other elements of a literary work. So the students can explore, they can look at the theme, the style, okay, and they can dissect one by one literary text. There's a lot to do, explore to do. And how, as teachers, can digitalize teaching strategies. Okay, of course, the first one is using the social media platforms, appreciation of poems. Okay, because when you appreciate the poems, when you recite the poems, you have taken the ownership of expressions because the view is yours. Okay, what do you think? Your feelings. So these are the elements in literature that is so powerful and meaningful. And secondly, teachers can turn essays into videos, into podcasts. They can broadcast into the social media. Okay, after they have taken the videos, okay, they can broadcast it out there in the internet. They can share, and other people can give a reply and response. And thirdly is the RAFT. When we use RFT in literature, we look at the roles that you play, the audience, okay, the target audience, the format of it, and also the topic, the tone, and the theme. The theme can be a love story, adventure story, or classic kind of story. Okay, and of course, this is one example using the blocks. Writing blogs is very meaningful for students. Okay, one of the very effective activity to be carried out in classroom is to engage the students with literature using blogs writing, because it is their platform for them to reflect and connect. Because after reading the literary text, they can pause and they start to reflect, need to think and connect, and it's a way for them to do the output, to churn out their feelings. And as what mentioned by Dr. Cynthia, there's no right or wrong answers. It's for you to pour out your feelings, for the students to get out from their chest. It's like, why the character acted this way? Okay, so it's free to give their own point of views, give justification, which character that you like and why. You give this justification, and also taking ownership of their reflections, because it's written by certain students using their own blog platform, and it has name, so you have the sense of ownership there. And of course, it builds a relationship with the teachers. So once your students have the blogs platform, the teachers can go in and give feedback. They give some constructive feedback, giving ways, room for improvement and things like that. So it's a very good way of like two-way communication, not only happening in class, but it can also happen in this cyber world. Yes. So when the students are doing the blogs writing, in appreciation literature, they can even tap into emojis. For the students who are shy to express their views or their feelings in class, when they are writing, this is the chance that they can pour out their feelings, their opinions, and they can even learn vocabulary, the vocabs, because when we express, you can even use positive emotions. You respect someone, you trust, you be impressed, be proud. Okay, and they use negative emotions. If they feel ashamed, they are angry, they're jealous, they argue with somebody, they feel let down, or they even feel disappointed. So these are the vocabs that they can learn. They can even go deeper than that, and teachers can even introduce the synonyms. Okay, expand more vocabulary. Okay, right. Having said that, there are three other platforms. For example, this is very familiar to all of us: TikTok, Instagram, and even Snapchat. Yeah, I remember my students love all this TikTok and so on. When you are the students are using TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and technology, they use the thematic focus. Okay, because for example, I have a dream speech. Students can make it into a TikTok short video. The 1 minute video is doable. It's only 1 minute, and it has the sound effect. You can have the glittering and things like that. It's very interesting, and it's fun. Okay, it's fun, engaging, it's relevant and cliche. They like it. It's happening for them. It's like, wow, you're so up to it. So students like it. Teachers, you can achieve your learning objective for them. So it's the win-win situation here. Right. Another one is the YouTube. Nowadays, we watch YouTube so much. Okay, for example, the Form 5 pupils who take literature as elective paper, example, the story of Merchant of Venice. Okay, the students read and produce an ongoing podcast or even posting videos in YouTube channels. Posting videos in YouTube channel is something that they love to do. The teenagers, they love to do that because after they have posted the videos, they look at the rating, how many views, and the views are going higher and higher. They even look at the chat box. People give feedback, give some praises and things like that. It gives them the sense of ownership. And of course, it is doable. It's free. YouTube is a free platform. It's a free platform for you to use, and you are able to express. It's also filling up the gap between the secondary education and tertiary education. So when they are in secondary school, okay, they are be able to tap into technology, to learn. They are more independent. So when they go to the tertiary level, they can study on their own without much guidance from the lecturers. So the foundation is set. The foundation has been set, their interest is built, and these students can immerse themselves in literature easily. Right? Okay. However, of course, we have other apps. There are so many apps out there, useful apps for teachers. Teachers can use the Mentimeter app that you can even post, post questions. Kahoot and Quizy is the platform for games. You can, of course, see all the questions. It's very interesting. I always use this with my students. Can even use WhatsApp. They can record the videos, can record the audio when you want to recite the poems. They can record the recital of the poems and send it to the teachers. Okay. And of course, this is the Google Classroom. It's a place. It's like one-stop platform for you to communicate with the students. You set assignment. The students will pass out the assignment. They will hand you assignment. Then your teacher can even evaluate with grades. So these are very useful apps for teachers. Teachers can use that in class, or when you are working at home, you're using the hybrid version, hybrid teaching and learning. The students can learn whether online and also offline as well. Right. Now, conclusion. Literature is a life-giving power. So it is so powerful that it gives you the important elements in life. Our students, they learn important values and also lessons in life. How? Because when they read the literature text, they look at the characters, they look at the lessons learned, they also look at the important incident that turn over somebody's life. So these are the things that they learn and they appreciate, and it's in them. They can internalize them into their own, and they can live a better life.
And finally, we would like to end with this question, very important question, especially when teaching literature. How do we connect literature to real life issues for the students? The students need to feel connected. They need to feel that what they are, reading is relevant for them. And what better way, and most important of all, the 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 common lament among literature teachers, especially in schools, it's so hard to get the students to engage the students. And this is, what better way than to engage them with the tools that they are most familiar with. So, that would help engage. And then they see the well, it may be a tall order, but the relevance of literature. And they are putting it in their own, they're seeing it in their own perspective. And that's important. We must move away from using literature just for reading comprehension. And one of the key things is always assessments. How are we going to assess them? It's so, vague. But, the tools that we have just showed you, Dr. Tay has just showed you, can't they be used for continuous assessment? That is something for us to think about, right? And with that, Dr. Tay and I would like to thank you for sharing this time with us and for listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.